thank you so much for coming. We'll see you on the 25th. Thank you.
I had Mr. Dennis and Marissa come in, and so I went home, put dinner in, and then he wasn't sure he'd be able.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Ossick, and I'm here at the Community Economic Development Association of Pollock Pines for a Community Vision Workshop.
What we're moving towards tonight is effective integration and communication, working together despite, obvious differences. If I'm an organization, I might have a different product that I want than a business might have or that a resident might have, but we need to work those things together. So now it is my pleasure to call Supervisor Santiago up here, turn this show over to her. This is in place of the usual Feel the Pulse meeting that we do generally in January. I'm turning it over to Norma, who will introduce you to tonight's speaker.
Well, thank you, Jeannie, for that introduction. I'm sorry I have a really bad cold, but I'm going to try to speak as succinctly as I can. This meeting is not about me, it's not about Jeannie, it's not about Michael, it's not about Judy, it's about you. It's all about you. The whole purpose of this meeting is for you to help me learn your vision of Pollock Pines. What is it that you see as the greatest assets that you have? From this visioning process, everything stems from this process. Where we go in the future, in terms of what kind of planning we want to do in our community, all goes back to the vision. So the vision is very, very foundational, and it's a very important part of this process. As we move forward and trying to implement this vision, everything will be checked against. You'll always be checking back and saying, no, Norma, you're wrong. That's not what we agreed upon on this day. So it's all about you. Not about me, not about anybody else. It's all about you. You're going to have an exercise where you're going to describe and talk about what you see are the greatest assets and greatest strengths of Pollock Pines. And they're essentially, I'm going to cheat here because I'm going to use my iPad. There are essentially three parts of the sessions. We're going to focus on current strengths and assets, focus on best opportunities for a better future, and third, consolidate into a community identity profile. We've done this in Myers with great success, and it is an opportunity for, like I said before, to create a special kind of energy. And as we create this energy, as we move forward, as you start talking about what you want your community to be, in the end, we have a plan that we will implement that will lead to greater economic prosperity for all of Pollock Pines. I promise that. And I'm one person, I want to tell you, I was talking to Tim earlier about this. I'm the kind of person, I don't like plans to sit on the shelf. Government's really good about that. We're really great at planning. Well, part of this process is that you're going to tell me, we're going to come up with an implementation strategy. And what is it that we needed to implement in order to create the vision that you're going to set forth today? Okay? So, I have had the pleasure of working with Michael Ward 4 years now? Well over 4 years. He used to be a member of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, or Commission, as my representative. He's been very busy up in Tahoe doing all kinds of meeting facilitation for Myers, and he brings a great level of expertise. Michael is the founder and he calls himself the Chief Strategy and Innovations Officer for Highbar Global. He does facilitation, training, all kinds of things, and brings with him a great wealth of knowledge. In his card, he says, co-creating the future with companies and communities. That's what he's written in the back of his card. I think you'll you will enjoy what Michael will bring out of all of us as we go through this process. And so take it away, Michael.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for showing up tonight. Very, very brief preamble. I live in South Lake Tahoe. I've lived up there about 10 years. I'm going to mention some more about that in just a moment and say why I think that's important to you. I don't know very much about Pollock Pines, but because I'm a consultant and facilitator, I travel up and down 50 a lot to get to the Sacramento airport, to get to other places to do other project work, communities, companies, organizations, private sector, nonprofit sector, public sector, very, very diverse experience. But I stop at Safeway to get food on my way home, and I stop for gas because I always forget, and that's about the extent of what I know, although a friend of mine turned me on to Jenkins Lake off Slide Park Road. I'm a trail runner, so I've been running the trails there. In the summertime, that's about the extent of what I know about you, and I did myself a favor tonight. I did not Google you up, I did not study you, I did not try to understand who you are. What I like to do as a facilitator is put people into a dialogue and a workshop process and have you teach me who you are. And the discovery part of that is pretty exciting for me. I always learn great things. So I'm looking forward to doing that here with you. So very, very, very briefly, we were using two words here, identity and vision, as though they are interchangeable, but they are really not. An identity for a community is who you think you are right now. It's what makes you proud about living in Pollock Pines within the boundaries. Jeannie asked some of you earlier, or she mentioned that some of you are residents, some of you are business owners. Let me ask again, if you have been living in Pollock Pines for 30 years or more, would you raise your hands, please? Wow. How about 20 years or more? Okay. And 10 years or more? And how many of you have just moved to this 4,000 foot perfect elevation? I tell you because you're not shoveling the same snow I am. 4,000 feet is just right. 6,500 feet, not so good. How many of you have just moved here in the last 1 to 3 years? Okay, good. So we have a nice mix and a nice cross-section. I mentioned South Lake Tahoe, so I've been living in the South Shore for 10 years. And what I've discovered is that in the South Shore, they have this identity that says, you are not a local until we say so. So I've been there 10 years, I'm still a guest. I don't know what the criteria is for being a local, but the identity is so embedded in how people think about where they live that they actually have words for it. They call it locals, out-of-towners, visitors, and so on. You probably do some of those same things. Identities are forged by people living together in common cause, within common boundaries, sharing limited resources, strengthening those resources, frequenting the businesses, participating in the school system, using the libraries, using the recreational assets, and after a while you learn to love them. And it's in the loving of it that the identity gets formed. But when you're new to a place, you're not really sure what the identity is. It's a little honeymoon experience. You like it, you may even love it. Some of you are new. I don't know if you love it yet. Maybe you loved it from the beginning, I don't know. But it takes a while to figure out what this new place is. And that's what the identity is. So I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this as we go through the exercise. Vision, as opposed to identity, is where you're going. It's how you see the place that you live 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now. It's in your imagination, you form an image of the same place, only it's not worse, right? What is it? It's better. And it's better along very specific dimensions. Usually it's better because things that you like have been strengthened, things that were problems got resolved, new stuff gets put in place. You know, I've been to a bunch of small rural towns, and people always tell me that all they want is a good coffee shop. Right? Maybe you have one. Do you have a good coffee shop here at Pollock Pines? Yeah? You just lost it? Let's say, oh my God. Right? So we're going to talk about your coffee shop here in a minute. In a sense, your identity is framed around small things that make a very big difference in your level of satisfaction with where you live. Is that right? It's not big things. It's not the parades, although you might like that. It's not the events, although you might like that. It's small things. It's local resources. It's stories. It's history, and so on. How many of you run a business here in Pollock Pines? Okay, very good. How many of you are employees in a business, private, nonprofit, or public sector here in Pollock Pines? Not that many. How many of you live here but commute somewhere else to make a living so that you can come back and stay connected to this identity? All right, that's pretty common, pretty familiar. You're like the easternmost place that you can live in El Dorado County and still have a job down the hill, right? Although my granddaughter who lives with me, her best friend, her father is a firefighter in El Dorado Hills, and he commutes from downtown South Lake Tahoe to El Dorado Hills every day. I can't wrap my brain around that. That's too hard for me. But how many of you have raised kids in the schools here? Are the schools important to you? Any firefighters in the room? Police, first responders of all stripes, EMT, health professionals? Very nice. Okay, so we have a pretty diverse mix in here.
Forgot a group.
Who did I leave out?
Retired.
Retirees. Well, I thought you might all stand up. But how many retirees in the room? Holy shit. Okay, end of workshop. That's your identity. We retired here, right? So what's the biggest challenge? I was talking to Norma and I drove down the mountain. What's the biggest challenge for a community that has a large percentage of its population that are retirees? What are the biggest challenges?
Service.
Services. What kind of services?
Transportation.
Transportation. What else?
Road maintenance. Road maintenance.
Road maintenance.
Medical.
Medical. Yes, my father's 87. He has an electronic leash attached to him. I'm only exaggerating a little bit. It's the greatest distance he's willing to move away from his primary care physician because he's a healthy guy, but he doesn't want to be far away from the doctor. You need things like lighting, right? What's the biggest long-term challenge of a community with a large part of its demographic that are retirees? If you are representative of the community, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. What's the biggest long-term challenge?
Stop it from burning down. Again, transportation. Getting to again, services.
Bringing the youth on board. Why? Because they are the future, and there won't be anybody to take care of the transportation, provide the services, and make sure the lighting's adequate, and continue the investments that transform the community from where it is today, your current identity, everything you love about it, to where you want to be tomorrow, continuing that identity, strengthening it, making it even better. So this is a very simple workshop. It's designed to figure out how you see yourselves. What is your current identity? And where are you going? What's your vision? And it's a real simple process that I'm going to take you through. All right? Are you ready for this? Now, how many are guests again? They're not Pollock Pines residents? Okay, so I'm going to thank you for sitting around the periphery. I'm going to put you into an exercise. You're going to do some listening. You're going to do some writing. You're going to do some talking in pairs. Then you're going to talk to me. You're going to hand me some information. My Vanna White here, Judy Collum, is going to assist me. We've created a kind of quick whiteboard up here. We're going to post some stuff. Then I'm going to ask you to get out of your chairs and come join me in a kind of half moon here. You're going to instruct us a little bit. We're going to run a little exercise. We'll have you sit back down. We're going to repeat that process one more time quickly. And then we're going to debrief what we've developed. And I just laid out the entire workshop for you. Does that sound not too threatening? Doable? Okay. All right. It's crowded in here, so when you do get up later, I do want to remind you, move your chairs in, create pathways so people can walk. And I never want to see people falling in these workshops. And it has happened. All right. Pollock Pines residents, I would like you to close your eyes and take a very brief journey with me into your home, your neighborhoods. Please close your eyes, bear with me. Nobody will bite you. I'd like you to think about places that you like to go in the community. What's your favorite place? Is it a business? Is it a restaurant? Maybe it's a library. What's happening when you get there? What do you see? Make your senses come alive. What's attractive to you about that location? What do you hear? What are the sounds that you hear in that place? I'd like you to think about it being Sunday afternoon. And it's warm, it's not snowing outside. It's a beautiful day. You're not working. It's time for recreation. Where do you go when you're not going somewhere else? Where do you go in Pollock Pines? When you're talking to your partner, or your kids, or your loved ones, or your neighbors on Thursdays and Fridays, and you're saying, I can't wait till Sunday because the weather's supposed to be great and we can do what? What is it that you look forward to doing on those beautiful Sundays? Now, I'd like you to think about it being holiday season. You've got guests coming from out of town. Family, friends, loved ones. They're coming from the East Coast, from Canada, from other parts in California, from real far away places like Folsom. And they're driving up to visit you, and it's Thanksgiving. And you're going to have a great meal together. But you've got a long weekend, and your guests are looking forward to doing a few things with you when they get here. And when they're planning their trip, they call you ahead of time and they say, what's great to do in Pollock Pines? What's the best thing about living there? So you're trying to plan activity that fulfills that image of fun and interest and enthusiasm. Where are you going to take them? What are you going to do? What are you going to share with them? What are you going to talk about? What stories do you tell? You get around the dinner table. What are the stories that you tell about, for those of you who lived here 30 years, remember 25 years ago, or 15 years ago, or the big storms of the winter of 92 or 98 when the river flooded down through the canyon, and on and on and on. So many memories, so many experiences, so many great things about living here in Pollock Pines. Do you all at least have some mental images of what that looks like? Okay. Open your eyes. Here's what I'd like you to do. You have in front of you some green and orange large 5x8 Post-it notes. I'd like all of you who are Pollock Pines residents to take only green Post-it notes. Don't fold them. only green Post-it notes, and one marking pen. There are these Sharpies all over the table, and if somebody doesn't have one, let us know. I have another bag full of them. Let me make sure all Pollock Pines residents have green Post-it notes and a marking pen. Do not use pencil or a regular pen because my eyes are old and tired and I won't be able to read them back to you from the front of the room.
Michael?
Yes.
Could I just add too, when Michael refers to resident, in our language, that means if you are a business here, you might not live here, but you have a business here,
Correct.
that includes the businesses. If you are an organization here, a local organization, but you may not live here, but you are affiliating with that organization and support and promote Pollock Pines, you are part of who he's referring to as resident.
Very nice clarification, yes. If you live here or do business here, spend a great deal of time here, and you have your personal identity attached to this community, you're in this exercise. All right, anyone does not have, can I include this up? Anyone that does not have these green Post-it notes and a marking pen? Very good. No pencils, no pens, because I'm going to ask you to think about, everybody ready? Judy, I think we have a hand up back here for pens. Everybody good? Marking pen. Marking pen. Here's my bag. Go for it. All right, everybody is outfitted, yes? Hold up your hand if you still need a pen or a paper. Yes, you need pen. Judy, right here, marking pen. We need you to use these because they have stick-em on the back.
This is Pollock Pines Camino Community Center. This is our town of Pollock Pines, but we may live in Camino or Cedar Grove.
And we love you. Camino that is part that views the Pollock Pines Town Center as their town center, participate in the activity? Yes?
Yes, they helped build this center, Pollock Pines Avenue.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it, the people that we have they can participate in this exercise.
I would actually that it's a Camino because the Camino group is with the Camino Community Action.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
Just, yes, we're good, just make sure that you mark it on your paper, that you are part of that Camino Pollock Pines group, because the Camino group is actually going to have a very similar exercise as well. So if you want to participate in this, you need to mark that. Please indicate that in your, I'm sorry, my mind's going, on your piece of paper. Please indicate that.
Just write Camino down in the corner. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, you guys ready? All right, this is a simple exercise. When your eyes were closed, you were thinking about community assets, environmental assets. What are community assets? Buildings, properties, libraries, schools, roads, bridges, trails. You were thinking about environmental assets. The lake, I think about your lake because I like the trail there. You were thinking about other physical assets, parks. What? You were thinking about the absence of parks. We'll come back to this. Next part of the exercise. You may have been thinking about historical assets in the community, or you may have been thinking about arts and culture kinds of assets, right? Whatever you were thinking about, I'd like you to write one in your mind, your personal mind, one strength of Pollock Pines that is key to your view of the identity here. One strength. One per green Post-it note. And here's how I'd like you to do it. Using your marking pen, I'd like you to only print, no cursive handwriting, print in 1-inch block letters, 1-inch block letters, and only 5 to 9 words total. So don't write sentences. 5 to 9 words, just convey the idea. We'll know what you're talking about. But we want to be able, when we get it up here on the wall, we want to be able to read it from 15 feet away. Everybody got that? Yeah. One strength. Now, you may be thinking about 3 or 4 or 5 strengths, so keep going till you run out of green Post-it notes. Anybody have a question about this activity? It should take you 3 to 4 minutes. Ready? Begin. We'll add that to your community identity. We'll call it They Listen Well. You have no idea how often that does not happen in my life. Okay, are you ready for part 2? All right, part 2. Pollock Pine residents, business owners, people with their identity embedded here, I'd like you to choose a partner. The easy way to do this is the person sitting in front of you, since the tables are laid out that way. But it's a democracy, so you can do whatever you like. I don't much care, so long as you find a partner. And I would like you to discuss the strengths that you wrote down on these green Post-it notes. Just talk about them, and the conversation should go something like this. Cleve, what did you write?
You want me to tell you?
Go for it.
Forebay Lake Trail System and Water Cascade.
Forebay Lake Trail System, Water Cascade.
And Water Cascade.
And Water Cascade. What the heck is that? Right? So Cleve and I are going to have a conversation about this, because I don't know what that is. And you may, but I'm going to make the assumption that you don't. So I'd like you to discuss your ideas of the strengths of Pollock Pines to make sure that you are clear, at least between the two of you. And then I'll give you the third part. Okay? The last thing to do is choose one that you think is your best example that you'd like to have shared with everybody else. Discuss it. Choose your best example. I'll give you 6 minutes.
Okay, what's your strength?
Go for it.
Draw that.
Bad
Okay, finish up. We're going to start the next part of this. Thank you. What's your name? I normally carry this big train whistle with me for large groups. It helps me orient people, but I should just take Pete with me wherever we go. But your whistle is so high pitched. I think we have to like shoot it off the ceiling or something. All right.
And the House of Constitution.
Now you've had some discussions with a partner about key strengths, and you've chosen one that you want to have shared with the group that you want factored into your identity statement here. And I would like you to pass that one up to the front here and get them in Judy's and my hands. Give us that one. Okay. Because that would mean we have about 100 people in the room, but it's cool. Okay, it's cool. We will adapt here. All right. Now, you notice everybody did a really good job of printing in large print, but I'm betting after about, is it Ross? Mm-hmm. I bet right past Ross, you probably can't read these very well for about there. Can you guys read these from the back of the room? Okay, here's what I would prefer. You've already been sitting for 50 minutes. I'd like the Pollock Pines residents, business owners, to get up out of your chairs, slide your chairs in, and come join me in the front of the room, form a half circle around this whiteboard so you really can read this. Come on up, come on up. Don't be shy.
We can't see with all those people up there.
Yeah, so we're going to explain them. Come on. We're going to explain them, or you can come join us. Either way. We've got a whole bunch of assets. These are strengths of your community. You responded very well. You gave us a nice diversity of stuff. We need to sort this up because right now it's a big jumbled mess. Right? We need to make some coherence out of this. So let's start by putting things together that are the same, and we'll remove any duplicates. Things that form pairs, for example, outdoor recreation. Somebody see another outdoor recreation? Right next to it. Here's an outdoor recreation. Let's put those together. What else do you see that goes together?
The lake.
Lakes, trails, camping, fishing, outdoor recreation.
There's 2 lakes on there.
Sailing on the lake.
There's Jenkinson Lake, Sly Park Lake, Lake.
Between a local and a transplant. What? Sly Park and Jenkins. It's right in the middle, and then it's called Jenkins Sly Park.
There's a room up front here. You guys want to get on You can see what they're doing and getting it together. I can see from here. I don't want to be in the gorgeous bright.
I didn't even laugh.
So, because we've got a lot of lakes, we cross out lake and we small down.
That's good. How are you?
Okay.
have some more stuff? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all under recreation. And then you got another small section of small town. So it's small town.
What else? What else goes together?
Some trails, nice fishing.
What about four bays? Trail system, why don't they discuss recreation?
Is this recreation?
That's different from Texas,
Let me read some of these out loud.
Recreation is
Yeah, so we've got two different kinds of recreation going on here.
Another lake kind of up there.
Yeah, this one here, we're saying is okay, more pairs. Let me read these out for those in the back. So we've got lumber mill, trees, building safety. Who wrote this? What's the key
We're a
strength?
lumber town, we have the timber line, and when the mill closed, our town is becoming a ghost town.
So is this a strength or a weakness?
It's a strength that we have the lumber and no one's resource.
Isn't that more Camino?
So I'm
The
gonna read
lumber
this.
itself, the lumber thing.
You see another one that goes with this, with lumber. So if you would stick a note over this and write active,
That's not only active recreation, that recreation generates a lot of tourism dollars. That's ecotourism.
so modify this category for us to capture that.
Active ecotourism.
Active recreation, including ecotourism, yes?
And Geo? No?
Right.
Okay, so that's what's going on over here. So one part of your identity is active tourism for people who live here and people who visit here, right? And that's all captured here, and you've broken this out into, you've pinpointed a long list of what those assets are. And they're your preferred assets. If we went out in the community and got 50 more people to come take your place and repeated the same exercise, I am willing to bet my career we would produce about 95% the same results. So just in case you're concerned about that. I do this a lot. The results are the results. If you've lived here, you know the community, these are the results. Now let's go to a small category. We've got a couple here that are kind of all about your history of having been a lumber-based economy, right? A mill town, right? Originally. So one part of your identity is carrying forward your history. I know there's some negatives associated with that, but let's stay up on the positive side of this. Your history is your history, and that's part of your identity. Is there something, does this, if we just call this lumber?
We got the Pony Express Trail. too.
Express is
Pony
part of this,
Express
yeah.
Trail's
part of the history.
It's
Yeah.
not just the lumber, it's, you know, the whole thing that happened when the lumber developed here. And it all started with the Pony Express.
And the Pony Express and the Lincoln Highway before that.
So the key here is history, not
Right there,
lumber.
by your arm is
Yeah.
history.
So I'm going to want to, we're going to emphasize the history part of that.
And that also bars tourism.
This is all about small town, rural. This is there, and that's there. Okay. Now we've got a little more robust cluster. It's not just about lumber now, right? It's about history and carrying forward that history. But you live that history every day. That's part of your identity. That's what I hear here. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, give it a title.
Yeah, it's history, but it's cultural history. Yeah, that's it.
Cultural history?
Here, heritage, back here, heritage, cultural history.
Why don't we combine those? Heritage and cultural history.
It was economic.
So either cultural history, we have another heritage. It's a different type. Well, the
Yeah.
years already.
Let's leave it memorable, heritage and cultural history. That seems to capture. Yeah, we don't need to get this perfect. Just so heritage and cultural history. Thank you. All right, very good job. Very good job. Nice participation. Nice cooperation, nice flexibility and adaptability. I noticed that. You were able to discuss things with one another and you didn't argue and fuss over words. I've been in a lot of communities and people are willing to get down on the ground about what we call stuff. At the end of the day, it only matters that it's memorable and you identify with it. That's what we're looking for here. So the words are less important than the meaning behind them. So here's what we came up with, and we're going to clean this up. We've got kind of 4 strategic themes, 4 themes to your identity, in no particular order. One is that this is nature's wonderland, and not just because it says it up there, right? It's nature's wonderland, and you've got a lot of assets that make that real. Those are strengths. And you have a lot of description of a cooperative rural community. Being a rural community is a strength. I've been working in healthcare for the last 7-8 years, and what we're discovering is that the west slopes of the Sierras are becoming the migration place for who? Bay Area. Bay Area who? Seniors. They're moving to the mountains and doctors are trying to follow right behind them because what do we not have enough of? Doctors. We don't have enough doctors and nurses in healthcare facilities. That's a whole separate meeting for a future date. So you're a cooperative rural community. You have a lot of elements to it, from arts to education, but there's a lot of fellowship here, a lot of cooperation, a lot of collaboration, and you show up to help one another. That's what's captured in this theme. And your identity is founded on your heritage and your cultural history, lumber and the Pony Express Trail and many more things. I was down in South El Monte. Anybody been to El Monte in Southern California? It's not nature's wonderland. But I was doing a community meeting and the people in the room were feeling very, very sad about the fact that they have 129 shoe manufacturing businesses in a very small community. And they've got all kinds of pollution and and they've got more streets than they have people, and it's a kind of distressing, depressing place to live until we got out a big map and figured out that El Monte actually sits between 3 pivot points that are all natural parks. And in fact, those parks, before El Monte was built as a suburb of LA, used to be called the Emerald Triangle. And it was a waterfowl watershed area, and it was also the end of the Carson Trail, the Kit Carson Trail. So they were actually the end and the beginning of a migration route to South Texas. And once we got that all out in the room, do you think the energy in the room and the love of the place lifted? That's what community identity does for you. Heritage and cultural history. And then the big ticket is that you have active recreation, and you got about 20 different examples of what that looks like and how you experience it, not only as residents, but your family members, tourists that come up here through ecotourism, geotourism, and so on. So your nature's wonderland, you take advantage of that through active recreation. You've got a cooperative rural community, and it's built on a rich heritage. Economic heritage, cultural heritage, social heritage. This is quite beautiful, actually. You see it? All right. So that's
Everybody
your-
cool with that?
Yeah, we know it, we live it.
Yeah?
We
It's
live
pretty
it,
good,
man.
huh?
Yeah! Thumbs up, everybody okay? Yeah. Yep. Thumbs up? Okay.
Drinks run
I
out.
need agreement.
So that's your current identity. But what about your vision? Where are you going now? A number of people have been pulling me aside and saying, but wait a second, what was it? I said, how many parks do you have? And you all went like this. Right, not many. And somebody asked about, no parks. And somebody asked about converting existing buildings to new and better uses. I'm paraphrasing what you said. We'll let you say it. So the second thing I want you to do is, I want you to think about opportunities. Let me explain this a little bit. I want you to think about opportunities that could become strengths. If you focused on them, if you invested in them, if you spent time on them. Opportunities. Now, opportunities is a facilitator's word for gaps and problems and weaknesses. But I don't like to talk about gaps and problems and weaknesses because it's a dead-end street and it's a conversation stopper. It does not help people envision their future. It makes us feel bad. It makes us feel depressed. It's not useful in group process. So what I like to do is say, think about physical assets in your community. Now, your community is not different than any other that I'm visiting. There's a lot of empty buildings, right? And there's a lot of churn going on in businesses in the community. And there's physical assets. In South Tahoe, we have all kinds of man-made trails that are not legitimate trails. They're not Forest Service approved. They're not put together by the government agencies. We still use them. So they're really kind of underdeveloped assets. The only people that use them are people who live there because we're the only ones that know about them. But they could be tourist assets if you had the resources and the land planning and so on to focus on them, if you follow what I'm getting at here. Roads and transportation got mentioned in the beginning tonight. Roads are almost always, in 2013, everywhere I go, not listed as a strength. Especially if you're in a rural community and your tax base does not support rapid investment in transit and transportation development. So transportation is a problem, and it becomes a focal problem when you increase the percentage of the population who are seniors and more dependent on that transportation. So infrastructure becomes a concern for communities. And yet your goal is not to focus on the concern, but to focus on the future and figure out how do we turn current liabilities into future assets? How do we make them strengths that build on our identity? That's really what your vision is. A future that is full of strengths that you have leveraged and built on, or new opportunities that did not exist before. It's not just about converting existing lands or existing buildings. It's about new businesses. I asked you about a coffee shop. You said one closed, so maybe you need new enterprise. Somebody was talking to me about converting, what were you talking about?
The old Pollock Pines School. If we may, we'd like to let you know what our vision is for it.
Yeah, so we'll do it in the course of this exercise.
Okay.
Yes. You have a middle school? High school?
No.
Do you have the population base to support a high school?
No.
No. Okay, what's your population base, about 8,000?
No. 47.
47? 4,700? Is that up, down, or level over the last 10 years?
Slightly up.
Slightly up? As a result of in-migration of seniors, you guys actually increased. Thank you very much for increasing the population.
Not necessarily.
Temporarily.
Not necessarily.
No?
It's also an affordable place to live for young families.
So you make the point I was leading up to, which is if it's an affordable, let's say your assumption is correct, if it's an affordable place to live for young families, and your future is tied to attracting more young families, then you have to have a stable school system to attract that population, because jobs alone won't do that. And you don't want to just attract a commuter population, do you? Because that won't really build on the cooperative rural community identity element very well. You'll just be cooperative community on weekends, right? And you'd like to do this 7 days a week. You guys get the general idea here. All right. I'd like you to take the orange Post-it notes, take a marking pen, same instructions as before. I'd like you to identify one opportunity, and I'm using the word opportunity to mean something that's currently partly developed and not done yet, something that hasn't been introduced into the community at all, that's new, a liability or a problem that, if solved, would become a strength. Any of those are opportunities to create the future. One per Post-it, large block letters, one per Post-it, you have 6 minutes.
That's not a street.
Okay, where's Pete? Where did my whistle guy, where did Pete go? Okay, get back with your partner if you haven't done it already. Discuss these opportunities. In a sense, what I'm looking for is, I want you as pairs to really make a recommendation here. You may have 3 or 4 that you're considering, but make a recommendation of at least one, okay? So, a couple more minutes discussion. Be ready to pass up one, we get them up on the board, do the same exercise. You guys ready? South Lake Tahoe, my whole goal for South Lake Tahoe is to get the damn dumpsters out from the front of the building. Yes.
What?
I'll just start putting these together.
All right, let me get your attention. It is 7:30, Norma said 8 o'clock. I need 10 more minutes. I give you 2 choices. Either I can invite you back up again, which got about half the room, or Judy and I, if you could read this, let's use the adult self-selection. If you can't read these from where you're seated, I would invite you to come up to the side area. Otherwise, if you can read it, stay where you are and help us organize this, all right? There's some stuff that obviously goes together here. Let me get you started. Apparently you want a Mexican restaurant, is that right? And apparently specifically want Los Hermanos. Is it right? Okay. So we've got 3 for a Mexican restaurant. You want local medical access. Is there another one like that? About health. Medical.
Right above.
All the way up.
Closer medical for seniors. Let's start sticking these together.
Health facility.
Health facilities. Right. So put those together. All right. So here we've got parks, broadband, and medical services. Choose one. Which is it? Parks, broadband, or medical services? So I have to divide this into 3 separate ones. All right. Here's the medical services. Parks and broadband will do in a second. Senior Service Center and broadband. We have 2 for broadband.
Internet. A lot of people
You
don't.
can put senior with the medical.
Senior services with medical. Do you want to go there?
Yes.
Yeah?
We all go there. At one point. What a choice.
That was really good. All right. Because this table was the first one up here, do you all want to say what these were real quick?
Well, Pony Express Trail is kind of a, it's a junkyard.
It's a junkyard. So
And
you
it's
got-
one of our assets, right? The
We have
Pony
beautiful
Express.
trees that we nailed signs to for garage sale, which fall off and become the garbage.
That was the one thing when we bought up here that was a detraction. We almost did not buy because of that. So I think what needs to happen there ideally would be to create a park, essentially a park
Environment.
on Pony
It would take a
Express.
lot of money.
So we've got a bunch here on cleaning up the Pony Express Trail. That's probably in the entree to some others. All right.
Here's the Pony Express Museum.
Pony Express Museum. All right, what else? We have a Mexican restaurant, hobby shop, place, Los Hermanos. So was there a Mexican restaurant named I got it. Burned out. No. Sure.
G, the facelift can go over on the left too.
Say it again.
The facelift is probably in that same category for
Facelift. How about lack of outdoor recreation business?
That should go with there's youth recreation and there's parks. They can all be clustered together.
Okay, so we have parks. Okay. Living wage, jobs, you can get parks. Let's do jobs. We've got a bunch here that are about jobs. Who wrote living wage jobs for young families? 10 extra points for that. So here's what we do in Tahoe. We have perfected the art of creating jobs that you have to have 3 of to live there. Right? That's not a solution. Right? So that's what living wage means, family wage. Who are the young people that came up and said you need a bigger library? Is the library too small?
Oh, yeah. Very small.
Yeah?
It's small.
Is it a county library?
Yes.
County library. So bigger library, what can we
Small.
The school.
A bigger library and Mexican restaurant?
The old school.
So, this one says, give all businesses a common theme. Who wrote this? What was your thinking on this?
I had seen
Sorry.
a thing on the news several months ago about a small town like ours that had fallen by the wayside. Nobody stopped it, nobody did anything. The only thing is I don't know what kind of buildings they have, but they chose to paint each business sort of like the Victorian houses in San Francisco. That attracted people to come in. Now people come in just to drive down there, then they stop and get a coffee or a sandwich or whatever.
Okay. So kind of part of job creation is business creation, part of business creation is attracting people who spend money, so it's probably Facebook stuff. Yeah, all right.
Design guidelines.
Okay, what else? Yes, design guidelines. stuff
We're
like
starting to
that.
get a bit of a cluster over here with.
What is that?
This is like youth activities, outdoor, music, arts, park, community, recreation, historical tourism, recreation, outdoor, and then a little business thrown into boot.
So,
So we're starting to get
it's the idea is a business that is dedicated to outdoor
okay, got it.
recreation. Sorry, I wasn't clear.
So we've got two things going on there at once. One is about enhanced recreation, the other is about youth,
We
the
have
focus
another
on
one that
youth.
speaks to the same issue right here. That one's business, recreational businesses.
Okay, recreational business. So let's put these together, but we want to preserve both parts of that because the focus on youth-based services seems pretty important given the discussion we've had here tonight going forward. How about,
Lack of jobs, here.
Okay. Reducing county fees. This is a means to an end. Who wrote this? What are you wanting here? What are you wanting here?
Well, basically, and I think we've all seen studies, and Norma would probably know the figure, but $40,000-$50,000 in TIM fees and different development fees and all of that right off the bat before you turn a shovel of dirt. Young people can't afford. First of all, we have very little building going on because of it, and young people can't afford the houses that we have now and can't afford new houses.
Okay, I got it.
$80,000.
So in a sense, you want to lower the barrier to entry for new businesses.
Lower the value of the existing homes? So that
I want young people to be able to afford them.
That's already happening.
What avenue?
That's already happening.
This is a whole thing about businesses, wineries, enhanced tourism and historical tourism. Did you have
And a
these?
trail. No, they're just still random.
Okay, so let's put enhanced tourism and historical tourism together.
I don't know where trails would go.
Trail along Slide Park Road.
Over there.
There's also a museum.
Yeah, this is the Pony Express Trail.
This came as a part of two other suggestions.
Yeah, let's put it
The actual trail.
Here's one that says, how far south does Pollock Pines extend? Gold Ridge, Lakewood Sierra, Slide Park, Hilo, Sierra Springs, all with question marks.
Sierra Springs.
Sierra
All the way to
Springs?
Sierra Springs, yes.
All the way to Sierra Springs?
And a little teeny bit below, not much.
So this is really a question the answer to which should inform the rest of your planning processes here going forward. But I'm going to put that to the side for the moment. Create I'm surprised we only got one of these. Create a rustic downtown Main Street shops and restaurants, which
I think we actually got part of that over there because what happened is Pony
That was
Express
mine,
Trail
it's
is the
really
name
more
of
of
the
a
road out there as
facelift,
well.
it's this corridor and doing something to clean it up and make it attractive and a destination for residents as well as tourists.
Okay, I got it. Where's your downtown?
Okay,
So I have been there. Okay. All right. Any other?
Yeah, there's
Any takers for younger populations? So this is another one emphasizing the need for more entertainment for the younger population. This one says replace burned building, the Pony Express Plaza, and find a tenant. Was that the? So this is really all about gathering places and community assets like coffee shops, restaurants, and so on. And then this one is signs advertisement for outdoor recreation business, road safety. Am I stringing words together? You really meant this to be 5 separate things? Who wrote this? Yes? Was it all one thing? for signage,
It is just
signage for all those things.
signage, I mean, a little bit better signage from the freeway, so we don't go against the one sign, Pollock Pines 1, Pollock Pines 2 exit. Give them something, even if it's on the inside of Pollock Pines, but it can be seen from the freeway. So people coming and going, they know what is here. Not just a gas station and subway. Fine, subway is good, gas station is good, but we have much more than subway and gas station.
I can testify, is there? The first time I was trying to find Jenkins, or Jenkinson? Jenkins. The first time I tried to find that lake, they said, yeah, it's just right off Slide Park. And I said, well, and I'm looking for a sign for this lake, and there's no sign. And then I got off, and they said, well, make a right. I'm coming from the west, right? And so I'm driving and driving and driving. I'm going, okay, wait a second, I'm driving. Where is this lake? And I just kept going because I never give up.
Well, if you go to the French Pond, they want to let you know you passed.
So this is a facelift beginning on Highway 50. Okay.
Michael, this gentleman had a really good comment about that area that you were talking about.
Yes.
You were saying
The downtown area?
Yeah, plus or minus, when you get off of exit 60 and you make a left towards Pony Express, it's the first thing you see is this huge burnout building. That's your first impression of Pollock Pines.
I see.
And it just got to be removed and replaced with something.
And there are a lot of businesses in that region. There are a lot of local businesses that will walk
Yes, it reminds me of you get to the Y in South Lake Tahoe, just to keep offering comparison, and the first thing you see is a mall with 30 of 40 shops empty, and then big wide street and nothing going on. It's embarrassing. Okay, broadband a couple of times is really an infrastructure piece. That doesn't go here, and it doesn't really go here. We have more infrastructure. No, these are separate. We can plug it. Yeah. All right. How about we're finding all the orphans here? I think we're down to the last one. Is that right?
Sort of.
Clean up the drug problem. Clean up the drug problem? Where would this go? Is this facelift? Is this community development? What is this? Yeah, I can, wait, should I even not start my rant on that? Yes, okay. So what are we missing?
Right here.
Enhancing tourism and historical tourism.
I would put that over there with parks committee and everything.
Kind of agree. Starting with the library would be bigger, would be facelift.
Yeah, this is about some converting the old school of literature, or the facelift.
It's on the
Okay, so here's what I think we have. You can recommend these or you can trust me for these. What do you want? You trust me because it's getting late, right? You want to go home. It always works. All right, let's go left to right here. The biggest thing you see in the future going forward is a serious facelift.
Yes.
Yes? No. Enough said about that. We can articulate just 8 ways to Sunday. That's what we're talking about. And you know, rural communities go through life cycles. I mean, this happens all over the country, so you're not alone in this. They go through life cycles, and essentially, you know, you have your ups and your downs, and when you're at the bottom of an economic cycle, everybody's focused on how do we make it better again. And one way to make it better again is to make it new again. That's what facelifting is about. It's our infrastructure is decaying, our systems are in decline, our buildings are in decline. But there's a lot of stuff you can do to make it new again. So that's what this is about. And then you want medical services in greater abundance. So you need a richer array of medical services here, and that's probably partly being driven by your demographic. And you've got a lack of amenities in the form of restaurants and coffee shops and so on, and you've got this unfortunate symbol of the gateway to the town in a burned out building. So you want to convert that liability into an asset.
I would not say we have a lack of places to eat. We have lots of places to eat and pretty good food. That location right in the entrance area with the Ruin Restaurant, and that doesn't have to be replaced with another restaurant. It can be replaced with something else that would attract the community. That's why something like doing two things at once, like getting a new county library building there larger, and you would have it would attract people to the other businesses around it.
Okay.
And which includes some restaurants, and we've got restaurants scattered all over there, and the food's pretty good. You have to wait a while, but the food's pretty good.
So my recommendation.
A coffee shop together.
A library.
Library and a coffee shop.
I would suggest, just so that we don't have to hurt our brains too much to think about this stuff later, I would suggest that really, you have some examples of amenities that you would like, but really this is all part of the facelift. So I'm thinking we shift all this there. Just because it's big doesn't mean it isn't your central vision going forward. And to be fairly specific about some of the amenities as part of that facelift is a normal process envisioning and land planning and community planning. So I think that's right. So we've got two. And then you've got what every community got right now, and that's a pent-up demand for more and better jobs. So you need more and better jobs, and how do you get those?
Make a facelift.
You need a facelift, yes, so that you can attract what?
Traffic.
Businesses. And who will open businesses?
We will.
You will, and others will, who will come here if they think that their dollars invested is worth the capital risk, because it looks great, the resources are nature's wonderland, I could go on, and it all starts to go together. So you build off your strengths to imagine and create your future. You attract those businesses, attract the capital, attract the jobs. And then what are you going to do with some of that new capital? You want more recreational assets, and some of that focused on youth, because that's part of your future going forward.
All our recreational assets are directed towards youth. We don't have a recreation here that the youth is not included. We need people to come in. In order for people to come in, we have to direct them how to get in, so they don't want to buy housing just like you did.
Yes. So in every community, and Norma will testify to this, every community wants to make signage a whole separate category, and that probably is appropriate here as well, so we will call serious attention to signage as an important part of this. Recreation, jobs, medical services, and a facelift. That's a pretty clean and clear vision of the future going forward that builds off what you have. Is this kind of vision achievable given the strengths that you have? Is it pie in the sky given the strengths that you have? What do you think? It's achievable?
It's definitely achievable if we can get past a lot of the county issues. And quite honestly, I mean, they talked about $50,000 on the building. It's $80,000 before you break ground, before you even set a shovel in the ground. So
Yes.
things like that are going to be prevented. But it can get there. It's just going to have to take some. And we've got our county supervisors here, Brian's over there, Norma's here, and if they're all going to be part of it and seek the actual resolution, then we can make it happen, sure.
Exactly as you just said, yes.
In regards to your medical services, are you entertaining, or whoever is the ones that are writing that, are they entertaining the satellite
think all we're doing right now is saying, what is it that you want for yourselves going forward?
Well, that's what I'm wondering about there. What do they want in regards of medical services? Independent up here, or satellite of Marshall, or county, or Austin?
I wouldn't worry about that too much right now. There's
To be a discussion.
Yeah, there's
later.
80 ways to solve that problem. Most of them are not profitable. So there are very limited ways to do this. For example, in the South Shore, we developed a telemedicine program for specific specialty care services, so the residents would not have to wait 3 months and drive 150 miles to UC Davis for appointments. But that didn't address all their needs, so then we had to do some outreach on the east side down into the Nevada area to begin to fill in those services. So there are many different ways to do this. But you guys what you will do beyond tonight is figure out the how of this. This is what you want. This is your vision. This is your imagining going forward. These are the strengths that you have that you can build on that make this plausible and doable. But you've got some hard work to do to get the community planning process, the government support process, the permitting process, all of the systems have to line up so that your vision can become a reality. But really in 2013, that's what we're doing in communities everywhere. We're really localizing the design and development process and moving it away from government centers and back into the hands of community members. Not necessarily just because you know best how to do it, but you know best what you want. And that's what we're trying to create here. So I have one final question for you. Yes, come.
Good. Then I just want to make one general statement.
Okay. Now?
I think we see this occurring in other areas of the county, but I don't think we see it occurring here in Pollock Pines.
Yeah, it's going to happen now.
So this is your start. That's what we want to do. We've been running.
taking care of us, Norwood? I mean, to expound on that a little bit, I mean, we see everything going on in El Dorado Hills. We see it happening in Cameron Park.
Yeah.
We see it going on around Placerville. What do we see going around Pollock Pines?
It's a new day. So it's a new day.
So
we're moving through this process, and that's why Pollock Pines was
I'd be
picked
devil's
as a-
advocate.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate here, but I think we've kind of been overlooked a little bit.
Well, let's be honest, unincorporated communities lack the same strength in terms of the governance process that incorporated cities do. And so we've been working with another unincorporated community in El Dorado County. We're 10 months into a project. We've established a council. We've got the community plan nearly done with the updating process. We're through design standards pretty far. We've got vision, identity, we've got frameworks. We're working on project development. It's a hard slog, but that only took us 10 months. You know, it's quite doable. And your turnout here tonight is the best evidence that it's possible. This is exactly what's happening in other communities in the county. People are showing up and saying, we like what we have, but we want it better. And we're willing to work on it. So, yeah, somehow, some way, you have to park the history and suspend disbelief.
Can we talk about the Second Amendment for a second?
Pardon me? So let me ask one final question, and then it's 3 minutes to 8. Of all of the strengths that we described for Pollock Pines, which of these are your signature strengths that differentiate you from every other community in the region? Not just the county, but in the region. Which are your signature strengths?
Nature's
Nature's Wonderland.
Nature's Wonderland.
And recreation.
Nature's
Ties into recreation.
So if you put Nature's Wonderland and recreational assets, active assets together, if that doesn't become the brand that you build off, I know you've got it up here, but if you're not building off that for facelift purposes, business attraction purposes, even health service purposes, you're not using your best assets to best advantage. And an example of a simple way when we're looking at plans or projects for other communities. We always go, people go all over the map in terms of ideas, but at the end of every night we say, is it consistent with the vision and identity that you plan for yourselves? And if it's not, it's just a bunch of projects. So the goal of this is to create a center of gravity for all of your planning and all of your imagining going forward. So that's it.
Okay, right at 8 o'clock.
Give it a break, eh?
And right now, I do not have the sexiest voice, nor can I project. But there is going to be, what we're going to do now, okay? I'm going to do this very briefly, because I promised I'd get you out of here by 8 o'clock. So we're going, this has been recorded. It's actually going to be on Channel 2 News. We're going to take all this information, we're going to synthesize it to form a vision statement that is consistent with your identity that you have made here. We're going to bring that back to the community, and you're going to tell me, Norma, you're wrong, Norma, you're right, Norma, you missed this, Norma, you missed that. At that meeting then, we're going to determine what are the next steps to proceed forward to actually create this vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did everybody hear me? Okay. So, where's Jeannie? Right here. Our hope is to meet in 4 weeks.
If we can do that before.
Yes. We're looking at February.
Either the 25th, which would be a Monday night, or the 28th, which is a month from tonight, which would be a Thursday night.
If we could do it on a Monday night, because I'm down here, I would prefer that. Okay, Monday night? So we're looking at, that would be the 25th of February?
That would.
So on the 25th, so look for flyers and everything. We're going to take this to the next level, and then we're going to talk about the process for actual implementation of this. What are the next planning steps, and where we're going to go from there. Is everybody clear? Was this helpful?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Did it meet the cha-cha scale? Right, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you on the 25th.
Hi, I'm Michael Ward. I'm the facilitator for the Pollock Pines community meeting.
And how do you find the results of tonight went?
Oh, I loved it. It's critical that the community shows up, that they participate, they contribute their best ideas, and they're willing to hear one another to arrive at simple consensus on what the present strengths are and what the future can look like. And we did that.
And what main things are you looking for?
We're looking for realistic ideas about the future going forward that are achievable. That's why I asked at the end of the meeting tonight, is this realistic? Is it achievable? In terms of the strengths of the community, we want people to tell us what they actually love about the community. Don't talk about buildings. Talk about places you go. What do you love about living here? That's what I'm looking for. So.
And what are you looking for to carry you on to the next steps of this process?
A well-designed community planning process that invites people into the problem solving that's necessary to make these dreams a reality.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you will have a fantastic turnout because you have a very energized group of people here. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Norma Suntown, I'm El Dorado County Supervisor representing District 5, of which Pollock Pines is part of my district.
And what were you hoping for as an outcome of this event tonight?
What I really wanted to learn more about is how the community envisioned itself. What does it see as its major assets? And so that can become the foundation of building a community that is representative of itself.
What do you see as the next leading steps to progress toward that?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take the information we went to today, make sure that we are on track with what we understood as far as the vision, and then develop a methodology in which we would implement that vision to make that vision happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, I had Mr. Dennis and Marissa come in, and so I went home, put dinner in, and then he wasn't sure he'd be able to hang with me. So we came in separate cars on top of it. Yeah, it was kind of sick Saturday, and then I felt fine on Sunday, and then it started yesterday. No, I had Mr. Dennis and Marissa come in, and so I went home, put dinner in, and then he wasn't sure he'd be able to hang with me. So we came in separate cars on top of it.